Yo, what is going on, Game Loopers? It is the one, the only, the Cheese back at it, and I am super excited for today's video because I'm going to be showing you footage of some unknown challenger player putting caps in the dirt, so much so that Baby Faker goes 1 in 10. So how does this happen? How can someone most of us have never heard of destroy caps like this? Now, for those of you who watched our video on Faker going 0 and 11 and you guys blamed it on Jungle Diff, well, this Ahri solo kills caps at level 4, so get off me. Now, but serious question here, guys, how much impact do you think a jungler has on the mid lane? Is it 1%? Is it 100%? I know there are those of you out there who think it's all jungle based because I've coached players with that mindset, but make sure to let me know in the comments what you think, and while you're down there, click on the link that will send you to the amazing Game Leap website. Thousands of your fellow summoners are signed up and reaping the rewards of swiping their dad's credit card, so join the party. Courses, guides, videos updated and uploaded daily so you can stay up to date and crush the competition. There's also a link in the description. Alright guys, let's get into it, and the first tip I have to give you, and most of these by the way relate to all roles, champions and head types, is this one right here, counting cooldowns. So you know how some blokes count cars at the casino? Well, this is what we're doing on the Rift, and developing this skill makes you a much better player because you can then choose optimal times to fight and to not fight. For example, when Caps, who's on Lissandra by the way, throws out his Q on the minions, why is this important? Well, with a 1v1, what this means is that Caps has one less ability when you fight him. Simple enough, right? But the funny thing is that so many players won't even realize there's a mini opportunity to win a trade here, and you guys would actually be right if Caps hadn't have used his Q. You take a decent amount of damage from the minions, and Caps can at least double his damage with more abilities, but he can't because he used it. So in your games, guys, don't just let your opponent use their cooldowns on the way for free. You have an advantage for a short period of time when this happens, so use it. Count those cooldowns and punish your opponents just like this Ahri does. Now let's actually focus on the real details of this trade, and can you guys notice something else about it? Ahri has 2 abilities, right? But she doesn't use one. That's strange, isn't it? Well, let's figure this out. 20 seconds ago, Sejuani hit level 2 after stealing Poppy's red buff and doesn't appear on the map for at least 10 seconds. So if I was to ask you guys, is there a chance that Sejuani might gank Ahri here? There is. And even by the way Caps is playing, which looks as if he's baiting Ahri into fighting him, you know, using cooldowns on the minions and still deciding to trade with the Ahri, it seems more real. And this is why Ahri holds onto her charm, which is her only legit form of defense and peel before level 6. And this is the tip you guys have to take into your games. When you can smell the enemy jungler nearby and they don't even have to be that close to you to apply this tactic, hold on to your key ability. So if you're an Ezreal, it's your arcane shift. If you're a Camille, it's your hook shot. If you're a Kha'Zix, it's your leap, and so on. And why is this so vital? Well, if Ahri doesn't have her charm and Sejuani ganks her, she has to use a summoner spell to survive, which means next time you get ganked, you most likely die. So you have to realize, guys, that yes, mid lane is a 1v1 for the most part, but it is actually a small part of Summoner's Rift. There are other influences at play here, so when your Spidey senses are tingling, hold on to your defense. You're going to die a lot less, and sometimes this will carry games because the enemy team ends up wasting so much time trying to kill you. Now let me show you guys a quick little trading pattern Ahri uses that you have got to use on ranged champions and melees as well, and our focus here is on DPS. So let's look at this sequence. Caps uses his Q, so Ahri moves up to trade, which is what we talked about, but after a couple of seconds, Caps' Q will be up again very shortly. So Ahri has maybe a second to get in some damage and run away, and this is why she Ws and auto attacks. And this mini combo, the spell and auto attack combo let's call it, is what challengers do on the wreck. But few players in other relos use it because they don't understand how valuable and impactful auto attacks are. Well, let the cheese tell you guys, they are. They matter a ton. Not just for DPS, but think about your runes as well. Auto attacks count as a stack towards Electrocute, they proc Dark Harvest, they proc Fleet Footwork, they stack Conqueror, proc Grasp the Undying, Taste of Blood. So yes, your skills are important, no doubt. That's why we fall in love with certain champions. But if you don't auto attack, there is no way you escape the pits of elo hell. So to reiterate, skill and auto attack, and what's also worth noting here is how Ahri backs off after doing so. Why? Because when you auto attack an enemy champion, you draw creep aggro, of course. So if Ahri was to just stand still right here, she is going to cop a lot of minion damage. So remember to run away from that trade after your mini combo, guys. Now I've got another mini situation here that emphasizes my point about the importance of auto attacking, but auto attacking is how we do it. What we do is the tip itself. So if I pause it here, what can you tell me about this situation? Ahri doesn't have her Q or W, as you can see in the bottom left. She has her charm, but she really wants to save that in case Sejuani runs to mid or Caps decides to E onto her. So she has nothing but auto attacks here. So keep that in mind while we think about what Caps wants to achieve. Well, this melee minion looks juicy, doesn't it? 21 gold, easy peasy. But here's the thing, guys, and what separates the best from the rest. This isn't free. This comes at a cost, and that cost is a bit of HP because Ahri moves up and auto attacks Caps. And you might say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's just 50 HP. Well, that's exactly why it matters. A fight might break out in the next 30 seconds, and that auto attack will definitely mean something. Let me put it this way, if Caps survives on 10 HP after a fight, well, that auto attack you could have thrown out before that fight started would have secured the kill. So it might be hard to envision, but you have to trust the cheese here, guys, and if it wasn't optimal, these challenger players wouldn't do it. So the tip here is to punish your opponent for CSing, whether that's via your abilities if you have them or your auto attacks. But you cannot do it sitting under your tower. You of course have to be in range, so when you see one of your minions get lower and lower, get around it and get ready to take some of your opponent's HP. You have to contest every CS, guys. And speaking of contesting, we have arrived at the solo kill, and I'll let this play out so you guys know the cheese isn't having you on, and we'll figure out why this Ahri was able to pull this off. So before the real 1v1 happens, Ahri hits Caps with a Q and clears these two melee minions simultaneously. And these two factors I want us to think about: the HP of the opponent and the state of the minion waves. So in terms of HP, Ahri has the advantage clearly, and in terms of minions, Ahri again has the advantage. So if a fight were to break out, two advantages like this will prove to be massive. And these are what I call lane conditions. If they are all even, then no advantage exists. But if you have a big lead in one of these categories, it's go time, which is why Ahri pops her W to not only damage Caps, but to give herself movement speed to gap close and trade with Lissandra. And I want you to count the number of auto attacks Ahri throws out during this combination. And as you're watching this, you will also notice this is the first charm Ahri has used in the lane. The first one, and it's level 4. She had this at level 1, but let's continue watching, and yes, Ahri throws out 5 auto attacks during this sequence, and the last one in particular was huge because Caps would have actually survived after dodging the second part of Ahri's Q. So this solo kill is straight up textbook, guys, but doesn't happen if Ahri isn't aware of her HP and minion advantage. So in your games, when you see at least one advantage, force trades with your opponent. You're going to get so many more kills as a result of paying attention to these details and in turn carry more games. Now, as we get into this next tip, guys, just a massive thank you to everyone who has subbed recently. We're now at over 130,000, which is just mind-boggling. So keep them coming. Join the rave by hitting that sub button and the bell so you don't miss any of our deadly uploads. So yeah, this next tip, the cheese has certainly mentioned before, but it's a consistent tactic in high elo, so when someone uses it, I feel obliged to show you guys. So Ahri goes to ward this bottom side of the map, which is a good idea, you know, warding in general, but knowing when to do it is critical. So what did Ahri just do? She shoved out mid, right? Meaning that when she does roam to go to ward, she doesn't miss out on anything, because most players in lower elos, guys, go to ward when there's a creep wave mid, or their opponent is 50 HP farming under their tower. These are way more important than going to place a ward, because golden experience is everything. So by sorting that out first, by shoving the minion waves, there is no cost to moving on the map, warding becomes efficient. So in your games, guys, yes, warding is important, but you have to time your wards so that you're not losing something else on the map. So shove the wave, then ward. Now here we have a Caps limit test, and even though Ahri gets the kill here, I want to blow your minds with a tip Ahri could have applied to make it easier to kill Caps. So when your jungler is ganking your lane, guys, it's easier for them to get on that enemy champion when they are closest to them. That goes without saying. And there's a very subtle way of positioning yourself to make this come about. And those of you who saw the Faker video should remember this one. Now I'm going to draw a line through the mid lane, so there's a north and south side. Now when Ahri is on the south side of this lane, Caps does the opposite, which is typically what you should do, because most of the time players are going to hold the side that their jungler is on, so it's safer. But in cases like this, where your jungler is actually ready to gank and is there, your goal is to push that enemy mid laner towards your jungler. So with this in mind, where can Ahri move to force this play? She can move to the north side of the lane, correct? And there is a chance Caps reacts, as most players would, and moves to the south side towards Poppy, and it's GG. Because if you look at this screenshot, Lissandra is pretty far away. Like, there's a lot less chance of this gank working simply because of where Caps is in the lane. So by dictating the positioning of your opponent, guys, by applying this north and south side theory, you can maximize that potential to kill your opponent with your teammate. Like most players in low elo just stand in the middle of the lane and don't take notice of their surroundings, probably because they think it's just a 1v1, but it really isn't. And the more of these little intricacies you can add to your game, you will win more than you ever have in Climb as a result. Now this tip right here, guys, applies to every champion in the game with a skill shot, which is, yeah, every champion the cheese feels. So this is a biggie. Now when it comes to skill shots, guys, you have two prime ways of giving yourself the best chance of landing them. The first is when you're close to that enemy champion, because the skill shot has less distance to travel, meaning the enemy has less time to react. And the second is when the target is CC'd, whether that's a slow, root, stun, knockup, whatever it is. So in teamfights especially, it's a great idea to hold onto your skill shots until an enemy champion is CC'd by your team, because you have a 100% chance of landing that spell. Which is why this challenger Ahri uses her ultimate to first of all get close to Morgana, and then her charm after she has been knocked up by Rell. And there's no way in 2021 she escapes. And you could be a Jace, an Ezreal, a Jhin, a Nami. Landing your skill shots on an immobile enemy is a far better strategy than throwing them out max range, hoping that they hit. So minimize the hope factor, guys, by getting close and near that CC. Now as you watch challenger Ahri solo kill Caps again, and pay attention to how he holds this charm for when Caps engages onto him, it is the cheese's last friendly reminder to make use of the Game League website. The content we have to offer is unmatched on the web, guys, so get that exclusive access to it by signing up, links down below. Now Ahri's team end up winning very surely, guys. And this kill right here pretty much cements that victory. And I wanted to show you it because it exemplifies a lot of what we had talked about. Counting cooldowns. Caps just used his Q, waiting for CC before throwing out our skill shots, in this case the use of Everfrost active, and then auto-attacking as much as we can, and Caps dies again. So if this happens to Caps, and I know G2 made playoffs, so maybe he's taken his foot right off the gas pedal, but still, you guys can for sure make your opponents go 1 in 10 if you apply the tips, the tactics, the strategies we discussed here. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like to let the Cheese and Co know you enjoyed it and want more, and until tomorrow's upload.